Vice President.
I'd like to make a quick report on the Finance Committee as the chair. I would like to add that the committee meetings had to be reorganized. We reviewed the existing policies for the committees along with Dr. Tomko, and we selected the committee members, and now I can say that we are moving forward because the committees are an important component of the board, which is where we get to deliberate things and forward that information to our colleagues on the board. Real quick, from the Finance Committee, I'd like to state that the 2015-2016 budget has been submitted to the county and has been approved. However, because of our financial deficit and the appointment of a monitor from the state, we have to undergo an additional phase of approval, which means it's going now to the state. And the state will review it and hopefully approve it. And then we can, at that point, schedule a public meeting to present the entire 2015-2016 budget to the public and allow the public at that point to ask questions and make comments regarding the 2015-2016 budget. Secondly, I would like to report from the Finance Committee. There's been a lot of discussion and concern from parents, teachers, students, community members regarding the condition of or the state of our classroom. I can say that with the 2015-2016 budget, we are focused on the classroom materials. So we are going to see an addition of books. They're being budgeted. That is, there is a budget for textbooks, etc., for our classroom. In addition, not to step on the Technology Committee's toes, but we are also budgeting laptops for each and every teacher for next year that they would be able to use, and not only in school, but also as they take it home to prepare for our students' lesson plans. I have one of the laptops here that's going to be purchased, and I just wanted to share that. Sometimes a picture says a lot. Lastly, just to save some time, I'm focusing on the highlights. There's been a lot of concern about clarity and discussions, questions, and so forth. We've been asked to pursue legal a venue to pursue clarity. We're not a board and we're not in a position to do that. However, our attorney's law firm is and has submitted a letter to us that there is going to be a lawsuit or a counter lawsuit entered on behalf of the district pursuing clarity for monetary compensation or recompensation driven by some particular details in that lawsuit, which I can't really go into the details. But I just want the public to know that we're moving in the right direction, that we're trying to address these concerns that are being brought about by the public and are moving quickly as we can in order to bring these concerns forward. And this is one that I think is extremely important. And I don't want to go into too many details, but I think it's important for the public to be aware that we are pursuing them. There is a lawsuit, and I believe that the total is somewhere around, I'm rounding it off, maybe 1.4 million in total compensation damages. Thank you.
Mr. Villon, I believe it's not actually a lawsuit, but arbitration.
Yes, it's an arbitration.
I stand corrected. I'm not an attorney, But the gist of it is that we are pursuing them, and it is through the arbitration process. Thank you for that clarification. That's all I have, Ms. Vice President. On the policy committee, excuse me, advancing the policy committee agenda, we identified, I should say, Dr. Tomko identified many of our policies, mandatory policies, have not been put into place. We have a ton of policies which are required by the state, which have the letter M on them, which are mandatory, which have not been implemented, which we are presently implementing and are going to be approved by this board, if not tonight, shortly thereafter. Okay? There are other issues, but just for the sake of, unless there's something else, Ms. Vice President, you wanted me to?
No, I think that's what you're.
All right, and I believe that we also now have an additional opportunity to speak before the meeting is over. So I'm going to just hand the mic over to one of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valon. Negotiations, Ms. Dolan.
The negotiations committee has reached a tentative agreement with the administrators, and we are currently in negotiations with the teachers. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have a report on buildings and grounds. We met with Mr. DiMatteo. We have an architectural firm, DeCara Rubino, who did an analysis on our 4 immediate issues. We have the School 4 north wall, School 7, the front facade repair, and School 8 and middle school that need boiler replacements as soon as possible. I just want to mention, right now we're in the preliminary stage, but we will have more information going forward. Also, we had 5 staff members that were trained and certified in AED and CPR, and they will in turn train additional staff and coaches for certification. We, the committee, would also like to see students trained as well going forward. What else do we have? We also have a quote to replace the high school gym floor, and that is a complete replacement. As many of you may be aware, the floor keeps buckling in the bottom, there's moisture under there, and it's just constant money and constant repair. So we need to look to replace that. We also have a quote on sanding and refinishing the middle school gym floor, and we will have more information in the near future on that. Curriculum. As obvious, our committees met this past month, so we want to make sure we give these reports. Curriculum committee met, and it looks like we are leaning towards the Envision Math series as the recommended math book series purchased for grades K to 6. Math was our primary concern because our scores are the lowest in that area, so we started there. The way it works is a 6-year plan at a cost of approximately $230,000 paid over a 2-year period. The district receives new books each year for 6 years for that cost. Text and workbooks are combined, so the students write in those books. Every year we get new books. We are looking to bring back the industrial arts program in September. I guess that's the woodshop. Known as the woodshop program in the past. And again, like Mr. Valon said, I'm just giving you the highlights. In September, we're looking for Power School to be active from grades K to 12. And teachers can complete their lesson plans on there, and the parent portal will be available district-wide in September. And my last report is technology. So as Mr. Valon gave you some of that information, we've come to the conclusion with Dr. Tomko that our technology needs to meet our curriculum. It needs to match the curriculum. So he is meeting with ProMedia to ensure that that occurs. As far as the security goes, we need to add, well, let me start by this. We've removed all of the cameras out of the high school classrooms. we are in the process of removing the cameras from the classrooms in middle school and elementary school. It's also been removed from the faculty lounge at the high school. We are looking to purchase or lease laptops for all faculty for September. We'll look to do that over the summer. The cameras that we removed from the classrooms, we're looking to add them to dead zones. We have stairwells. We have parts of the perimeter of the schools that are really not, they don't have cameras there covering that. So we're going to look to move some of them, and then we'll have further discussion on what we're going to do with any extras. The last thing is that with the para portal, with PowerSchool being available to the entire district K-12, we'll look in September to host a parents' night to show parents how to utilize Parent Portal so they can see their students' grades, homework assignments, and things of that. That's all I have. We'll move on to athletics. Mrs. Torres?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The athletic committee met on April the 9th. As you can see tonight, they had the presentations. So I would like to, congratulations to all of our athletes tonight, as well as all of the other honorees. Mr. D'Elia provided us with the schedule updates. He also made his announcements that if anyone wants to follow the sports, wants to attend any of the meets or any of the events, you should follow it on the schedule that's online as opposed to the one that we get sometimes, because the one online gets updated periodically. We also had some discussion in reference to a batting cage that would like to be donated to the high school, but this is something that we need to take a little bit more time with, because we need to figure out exactly where it would go and make sure that Mr. Tomko is going to be providing us with a survey to make sure that we can have the proper care for it and the enclosures for it. At this point, that's all we discussed as far as athletes went.
Any report on grants?
On grants committee, the stakeholders met on March the 27th. We are working diligently on a grant for the Century 21. Century 21 grant will allow us to get funding for after-school programs. One of the things that they did was they sent out a survey to the high school students so that we can get a better idea of what kind of programs they are all interested in. It was a very successful survey. The grant last year, we scored a 78.7. In order for you to even be considered for the grant, you have to score over a 60%. The fact that we scored a 78.7 is really, really good. So the team is working very hard. We're working with YMCA, we're working with Rutgers 4-H program, and we're working a lot with our community, which is good because we have parents involved, we have students involved, we have board members, faculty, and it's a big team effort. So the goal is the grant has to be submitted on April the 30th. We have a resolution tonight that we are hoping will be passed, and once we get past this stage, we are going to be meeting with Bruno and Associates, as well as our own Mr. Gary Klockskin, who has been very instrumental in getting this grant put together and bringing everyone together. So keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully we will get this grant, and it will be great for our district. Once we get past the 21st Century grant, we're going to start working on our other grants, which is NJ MAC, and we have quite a few things going on. Bruno and Associates always provides us with a monthly report, letting us know exactly what grants are available, what grants we're applying for, what needs to be done, and I have to honestly say that Belleville's administration, the teachers, they all take the time to actually put the information together, give it to Bruno and Associates, so that we can meet the deadlines and try to get some of this grant money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres. Are there any other committee reports? Okay, are there any remarks by board members? I wanted to get through the committees first, so I'll start at this end. Mr. Zangari.
Thank you, Mrs. Lombardi. we would all be remiss if we didn't mention this this evening. In 1998, I was a senior at Belleville High School, and one of the privileges of being a senior is there was a class available to take mass communications, and certainly the most memorable class I took all throughout my high school years. And I think it was all the more special because of the teacher, Marilyn McCabe. She was a great person. She was a great teacher. She had some great qualities to her. She was just an amazing person. And unfortunately, we lost her a short time ago. And I know when things like this happen, there seems to be a sense of urgency to have an event right away, but I know Mr. Sheridan has been working very hard on a resolution renaming the media room after her. And I just want to ask the administration and President and Vice President to plan a good event. We should invite Marilyn's family here, her colleagues, former students, and she should really be honored in a way that's fitting for her. It should be a production. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Valon?
Very quickly, I just want to share with the public that I've attended my governance course, which is required, and I've been appointed by my colleagues to be the state delegate to our New Jersey School Board Association, and I take that with pride and honor. And it's already been a long meeting, I can run on, but I'm just going to cut it short there for now. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valon. Mrs. Torres?
Again, I'd just like to congratulate all of the honorees tonight, as well as Mr. Pagano. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Torres. Mr. Rivera?
I'd like to echo Mrs. Torres's accolades for the staff. Congratulations to the teachers and to the service professionals for receiving the Governor's Award. And to the coaches, I'd like to thank the coaches for working with the children and getting them to receive such high regards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Ms. Dolan?
I'd also like to congratulate all the athletes, all the teachers, and everyone else who received the Governor's Teacher Recognition, Educational Services Professionals, and also our athletes for job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to move on to open for public participation?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion? Yeah. Remarks by citizens. This is for agenda items only. Remarks regarding agenda items that are relevant to the educational system. A participant must sign in and be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of his or her name, place of residence, and group affiliation, if appropriate. The individual shall proceed with a maximum of 3 minutes. All statements shall be directed to the Vice President of the Board of Education tonight. No participant may address board members individually. Tom McCrone.
Tom McCrone, Continental Avenue. I would also like to congratulate the teachers and the athletes that were recognized tonight. However, I question whether or not we really did them justice. Giving out 85 awards in a room that was overcrowded, in a room where you couldn't hear what was being said, I'm not sure we really paid them the compliments or the justice we should have paid them. If the auditorium wasn't available tonight, then perhaps some of the awards should have been postponed to another month. I don't think there's any urgency that they had to be done tonight. The 85 awards in 1 hour, I think, was a little bit too much, but that's my personal feelings. On the agenda items, item number C, which is the extended year program. I just have a question. I think it sounds like a worthwhile endeavor, but can you explain to me exactly what's going to happen? This is the item C, number 6, the extended school year program from June 29th to July 31st.
Yeah. Yeah, extended ESY is a special education program for students that are part of their IEP or their individual education plan. Calls for an extension of the school year into the summer. So most districts either conduct their own school in district or send students out. So this is a program for those students who have it in their IEPs.
Is this new, or have we?
I believe it was here last year.
Okay. I also I have a question about number 7, which is the homebound instruction online course curriculum for 2015 for credit recovery, makeup courses. Well, first of all, it says homebound instruction, so I assume that means it's not going to take place in school, it's going to be taking place at home?
Correct.
What about the kids that don't have access to a computer? Is there something that we can do to make either some computers available after school, or, I don't know?
Yeah, I think the guidance department, Ms. Krenke, would definitely provide that. I'm sure we've had this here before as well.
Oh, okay.
Also, the public library, I think will probably handle that. So.
All right. Then in D number 1 and 2, where they're talking about the contracts with Pro Media, one of them is for one has to do with park support and one has to do with just support services. Can you explain what the difference is? I mean, if you're supplying a service, I don't see the difference between a park service and just a regular service, but there must be something different.
Yes.
I've said it a few times in district. The district administration teachers have done an excellent job with Pro Media to get this district ready for park in such a short time when other districts have had years. So that's the one part of that contract that you see is specific to the park testing, which is imaging computers, providing support during the days of park. The other part of the contract you see is for actual desktop support, which is basically them running the IT part of the district right now, prior to us having a director of information technology, which I hope to have by the beginning of next year.
All right. It just sounds like, I don't see the need for 2 separate contracts, but I don't know. Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCrone? I just wanted to say real quick, the athletes that received certificates tonight, they were not their awards. They did already receive their awards. They do an individual each team where they receive their actual awards. This was just an acknowledgement tonight for certificates. Not defending that it went quick and there were a lot of athletes, but I just want you to know it was not an award ceremony, but just an acknowledgement by the board for
I think the parents
their accolades.
Saw it as a acknowledgement. And I don't know if they were, cheated is not the right word, but I think that perhaps had it been broken up into just scholars, just athletes tonight, and maybe the teachers that were honored by governor's awards next month, or the other way around, or just a bigger room, I think it would have flowed better.
Understood. Thank you. Motion to close public participation.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
May I make a motion? May I have a motion for sections A through E?
We're going to do the whole agenda at once?
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Excuse me, Madam Vice President. C, board actions or policy. Can we table number 12 until we find out which students it's counted for?
May I make a suggestion? So, I think what will happen next is that the board president will ask for discussion on each section before there's any voting. And then during the discussion on section C, that would be an appropriate time for you to make your motion to
Okay.
table your request.
Is there any discussion on items in section A?
Yes. I just wanted to have a quick discussion regarding A16. A16 is to appoint an LPN I'm assuming, to work with the nursing team. I just wanted to clarify, an LPN is a little different than an RN. It looks like the pay scale is the same. However, I just want to make sure that that's in order and that that's acceptable based on protocol, certification, and job description before I vote on her.
So you're asking us to table that item, Mr. Luan?
I'd like for a quick discussion. It doesn't have to be tabled. If the members feel that this is something that is going to go through anyway, and there's enough support for the LPN, I could certainly understand where we need to supplement the staffing. I've heard a lot of concerns from the nurses regarding the shortages. Here we have an opportunity to fill that shortage. I just, as a nurse myself, I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our children and that the LPN will be able to function in the capacity that we're hiring her for.
So, Mr. Valone, we typically would not have personnel discussions in public of the nature you're describing. The exact topic that you're discussing, however, was discussed in closed session, as was appropriate.
Thank you. Those were my concerns. If they cannot be discussed in public, then so be it.
As I don't feel Mr. Valon's concerns have been addressed to the fullest, I think that we should table the item and further discuss it in private at the next closed session to Mr. Valon's satisfaction. I make a motion to table the item.
Is there a second?
Second.
So then there's no discussion on a motion to table, there's simply a vote.
Mr. Clark?
Resolution on the table to table item A16. Mrs. Dolan?
No.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
No.
Mr. Valon?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
No.
Motion does not carry.
Is there any other discussion on section A? Is there any discussion on section B? No? Any discussion on section C, board action, board policy?
On C, there are two additional resolutions, which we'll call C13 and C14. Let me read them so the public knows what they are. C13, be it resolved that as long as the student continues to reside at his current address, student number 2528849 shall be permitted to complete the 2014-2015 school year in the Belleville School District. And item C14, be it resolved that as long as the student continues to reside at his current address, student number 250410 shall be permitted to complete the 2014-2015 school year in the Belleville School District.
Thank you, Mr. Edelstein.
We don't even have 11 and 12. We only go up to 10.
Not 11 and 12 right here. Go on.
Any discussion on C, board action, board policy?
Number 12. We need to clarify if that's special ed camp that's always held at the Belleville Little League or if it's a different camp.
I would have to get back to Mr. Nolan. I apologize. No, as far as I'm aware, these are programs that have occurred. This is not something that was, obviously a new program I would bring to the board committee. So again, this is something that has been going on here. So I'm sure if it is the program you're speaking of, it's the same exact program.
Any discussion on D, purchasing and business?
On items 1 and 2, I just want to clarify. These are addendums to the existing contract, and it's not going to cost us any additional funds. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, they're just breakouts of the existing contract. There's absolutely no additional funds.
Thank you.
Also, my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in separate contracts because we want to better identify where the money is going when it's spent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Clark, please poll the board. Is there any discussion on E? Okay, Mr. Clark, please poll the board.
On the table is block resolutions for items A1 through A16, item B1, item C1 through C14 is read by Mr. Edelstein, items D1, D4, E1 through E13. Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yep.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Valon?
We're voting on everything, including the nurse.
You can abstain or vote no on any particular item you select out of that entire block.
No, because you don't. No, you absolutely can do what Mr. Clark said.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Can I make a motion to open public participation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, this is our second public participation. Remarks by citizens, any item pertaining to the educational system. A participant must sign in, be recognized by the presiding officer, and must preface comments by announcement of his or her name, place of residence, and group affiliation if appropriate. The individual called shall proceed with a maximum of 5 minutes. All statements shall be directed to the Vice President of the Board for this evening. No participant may address a board member individually. Mr. Tom McCrum.
Tom McCrone, 61 Continental Avenue. I'm sure when I stand here each month, some of you look at me and say, again, there are more important things going on than the trivial things that you bring up every month. But I'd like you to realize that for me, detail is important. And I think that there are details that constantly keep getting missed. If I see that people are not paying attention to certain details, in my mind, it gives me the impression that either there's neglect, or there's a lack of, or a case of irresponsibility, or perhaps things are just getting covered up because they're not being reported on. I was glad to see tonight's agenda was posted last week, gives you a chance to look at it. I go to the board website on a regular basis because I keep having questions. But I find when I go to the website, I can't always find the answers. I don't know whether things have been moved or whether things are just not getting posted. An example, I was wondering when Belleville's spring vacation is. I know other schools in the area were closed for a week, and I thought, gee, Belleville should be coming up. I searched the website. I couldn't find the school calendar. I know it was voted on, I believe, in January, because when I had requested the addendum items that hadn't been included in the minutes, one of the things I was sent was the school calendar. So I know you voted on it. I cannot find it anywhere on the website. I did a search on the website. It brought up the 13-14 school calendar, but not this year's school calendar. So again, in my mind, that's a detail that somehow or other got overlooked. I'm sure you're not hiding the calendar for any reason, but it's not there, and I was looking for it. I think it was last month, a question was asked about the domicile officer, and we were told it would be reported on the website. Again, I looked on the website for an answer. I couldn't find it. Is it there and I'm looking in the wrong place? Or is it just not there? Again, details. I keep asking about the wording in the minutes. It bothers me when it says there will be an attachment and the attachment isn't always there. In the last set of minutes, which I guess were February's, the ER&M contract was listed as an attachment. However, the next item in the minutes had to do with travel time, and it said travel time will be discussed, and then it said attachment will follow. It's not there. So again, why not? Is it too much trouble? Is something being hidden? Somebody not doing? I don't want to make any accusation. It bothers me when things are supposed to get done and they don't get done. Also, while I was searching the website, I noticed that there were surveys on middle states. So I assume you're going through your self-evaluation now. I'm somewhat familiar with middle states, so I was curious to see if anything was said about the Middle States Steering Committee. I did a little bit of searching. I couldn't find anything. I talked to some people, and one of the things I was told was that one of the members of the steering committee is not a full-time Belleville teacher. My question is that a requirement? Do you have to be a full-time teacher or administrator to serve on the steering committee? Is there, or maybe I should...
We'll get back to you.
Okay, and again, I understand you can't tell me whether there's a person on the committee that is not a teacher or not. I also understand that the committee meets during the school day. I don't want to see teachers have to put in any more time than they have to, but with all the time that's being taken away from lessons because of the park testing and the park practice tests and preparing for the tests, is it really a good idea for the teachers that are on the steering committee to miss even 1 day a week of class time? Yes, you're putting in a substitute, but having a substitute, regardless of how good that substitute is not the same as having the teacher in the room. Those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Okay. And when you said you would get back to me, okay.
I will get back to you. Deanna DeGraff?
Deanna DeGraff, 7 Trafalgar Court, Hackettstown. I'm a dance teacher at the high school. Good evening, Dr. Tomko and members of the Board of Education. On Saturday, March 14th, 5 students from the Belleville High School dance program, Raylyn Princeton, Alyssa Reddy, Selena Revelar, Ruthie Nigatran, and Adam Gervasi, along with myself, attended the New Jersey High School Dance Festival at Union City High School. I'm hoping to extend this opportunity to more students next year. The day began at 9 a.m. and ended at 5 p.m. Students were able to take various workshops such as modern, hip-hop, and jazz dance. Belleville High School was among 17 New Jersey high schools that attended the event, which concluded with several professional dance companies performing their works. I've put together an informational packet for you to look over at your convenience. The students had a wonderful learning experience and were extremely grateful to me for asking them to attend the festival. Unfortunately, there was one part of the festival that my students were unable to participate in, the adjudication process. Each school was allowed to perform 2 pieces. There were 2 professional dancers that offered constructive critiques to help teachers and students improve or revise their pieces. We weren't able to participate as we do not have enough time in our daily schedule to prepare at least 1 number, let alone 2. Additionally, students like to perform with students in other dance classes, and then there are those students, because of their schedules, dance class wasn't an option for them. It is unfortunate that our students who work so hard and have such a passion for dance are excluded from this opportunity due to scheduling constraints. A solution to this would be a dance club, which we had at one time and then suddenly, without explanation, was dissolved. The students in this dance club were eligible for induction into the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, for which we hold a charter membership. As part of the dance club, the students performed at several community events and the senior center. We presented programs at the elementary schools as well as the middle school. We also had several of the elementary schools come to the high school for an assembly where we presented our annual holiday performance. On Wednesday evening, I have dancers performing the opening number for the Mr. and Miss Belleville pageant, and our year-end shows on Wednesday, May 6th. I hope that some of the board members will be available to attend these events, and I hope that you will consider allowing our school to reinstate the dance club. Thank you.
Michael Sheldon.
Good evening. My name is Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. I made a couple prepared notes tonight just so that I stay on topic and get done within my 5-minute time limit. So what I'd like to talk about tonight is with all the controversy surrounding the park exam, not to mention NCLB, race to the top, etc., I want to bring to your attention and that of the general public that there is a wonderful documentary now available called Standardized. I don't know if you've heard about it, but this movie attempts to clearly explain all the driving forces behind this incessant need to have exams like PARCC and how it's threatening to undermine public education as we know it. The movie features a lot of very reputable academic experts, including the president of the Middle States Association. And during the film, they point out how Pearson, the people responsible for PARCC, designed their test to guarantee failure rates of anywhere between 35 and 45%, something I didn't know until I saw this film. And this is largely done so that Pearson stays in business, and then they turn around, not only are they making billions of dollars in the process of producing the PARCC exam, but then they have the audacity to prepare, to produce, and sell to schools the education material to help students pass their own exams. So talk about having your cake and eating it too. Moreover, the movie explains how politicians and money interests on Wall Street are using things like PARCC, whose statistical reliability is highly in question to predict academic preparedness and success in college and career, that it's being used to fire public school teachers, destroy their unions, close schools, and ultimately turn over these same schools to the private charter business, which I think is really insidious when you consider this. With the federal government spending in excess of $600 billion a year on public education, as the case is with government policies, if you want to know the truth about any matter, just follow the money. So as you may know, that many communities throughout the state have been coordinating public showings of Standardized with the assistance of an organization called New Jersey Kids and Families.org. And for the purpose of full disclosure, I do want you to know that that organization is allied with NJEA. But I think that as Dr. Tomko had told the press, that already 316 students have opted out of PARCC. And with the next round of PARCC about to get underway within the next couple of weeks, I think this is a great opportunity for this board to reach out to the NJAE to make arrangements to show Standardized here at Belleville, to give all of us a proper education about what PARCC represents. I think this is a singular, unique opportunity for you to have an act of solidarity with the teachers, with NJEE, and help to do away with this adversarial relationship that has existed between this board and the NJEE, unfortunately, for the last couple of years. So I'm asking, will the board consider and hopefully commit to using your resources, your facilities, to have a community showing of Standardized within the next few weeks? And I'm sure that if you need to have the assistance of the NJEA, that people like Michael Mignon, Michael Diaz, and Deanna Arena would be more than happy to act as liaisons between this board and the NJEE. So I ask that you take this into consideration. Now, some of you still may be very much in favor of PARCC and supportive of Pearson. Then I would like to mention one more thing. If you look at this movie, at the halfway point, there's a very telling moment. There is a highly accomplished academic, university professor in Florida, taught over 40 graduate courses, exemplary career. He's also a judge. He's an elected school board official in his area of Florida. He took it upon himself to take the Florida equivalent of the PARCC exam, 4 parts reading, 2 parts math. And guess what happened when he got the results back? Completely failed the exam. Right? So, he was kind of on the fence about the validity of these tests, but when he saw what happened, and some of his other colleagues did the same thing, these are all highly accomplished professionals who were failing a high school level exam. And if they had been 20, 30 years younger, they would have been put into remedial classes as a result, never mind that they're judges and university professors. So, based on this, you have to really seriously question if there is any metric, believable metrics, to the PARCC exam. So what I'd like to do is consider an interesting experiment, if you will. With the next round of PARCC testing about to take place in the next week or two, as my understanding, involving the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, for those of you in powers of position and authority, decision-making, who still may be somewhat supportive of PARCC or on the fence, would you be willing to subject yourself to the PARCC exam? Give yourself a chance to see what this exam is really about. You're all accomplished professionals. I'm not even going to ask you to take the 11th grade exam. I'll compromise. Take the 10th grade exam. And even though Dr. Tomko at the last meeting said how one of his dreams over the next few years would be to have every Belleville High School student graduate with fluency in trigonometry, I realize it's probably been a long time since any of you have studied trig. For example, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals anyone? Very good. But I think it would be a worthwhile thing for you to take this exam yourself, see what the students are going through, and see what it says about you, whether you would be ready for college yourselves or would be put into remedial courses. So just something to think about. It might be not only worthwhile for the board members to take this exam as an experiment, but also have your key administrators, your principals, your vice principals, your curriculum coordinators also take the exam and see how they fare. So Just my primary request tonight is to please consider showing standardized. I think this would be a wonderful thing for the entire community. It would be a means to, so everyone in Belleville can understand exactly what PARC is about and what the real goals here are for this type of testing. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Vinnie Frantantoni.
Mr. Frank Antoni, 129 Mount Prospect Avenue. Good evening, board members. I would also like to extend my condolences to the McCabe family for the passing of Ms. McCabe. We had a good relationship with her class. When I was a recycling coordinator, we did in-house interviews, which were on cable stations. And she also had her class travel with me around town to show the public where the recycling depositories were. When my daughter studied for her master's degree at the Pratt Institute, home one night says, I learned that stuff in Ms. McCabe's class back in high school. So she was a very well-liked and competent teacher. I think we should have a moment of silence at the beginning of the meeting for her. I'd like to ask you, through the chair, does the Board of Education Superintendent or the board members, are you aware of this flyer that went to circulate to our schools? Yes. 250? Yes. Well, it's not on Board of Education stationery, and I wonder if any of you, was this approved by the board to be sent out?
Let me answer real quick. This is, oh, sorry. This is a practice by the board several years ago. It was $50 at the time. So it's been a past practice. So as the board has spoken to me on several occasions about being proactive with regard to re-registration and students that aren't here, we've had some residency hearings already. That's what I've been for the past 30 days. So this is something that Belleville has done before. Hasn't done in a while, and with me coming here with, again, one of the charges of the board was try to make sure our tax money was going to our students. This is something that we put out.
Okay, I'm all for, in fact, I've stated publicly we should get after non-resident students. However, you're right, this happened several years ago, and many parents were against it, and I don't know if you understand the possible ramifications of this. You could have students fighting each other, you squealed on me or something like that. There's some serious problems with this kind of policy. We have a domicile investigator. I think we should go through those channels and not put our students at risk and, say, be a squealer and you get some money. And the other question is, where's the money coming from? Who appropriated the money and from what fund is it coming from? Suppose 200 kids come forward with this. So, I think it should be evident. It's not in the best interest of our students. There are better and more professional ways. We have a domicile investigator to go after non-resident students. I just want to read something that I wrote about testing. Testing, our children are being tested at every grade level with tests that are loaded with mistakes and results that take months or years to be analyzed. Reduce testing and devote this valuable class time to teaching. Perhaps our children will then obtain the knowledge to actually pass the test. Back to basics should be more than the slogan. We should concentrate our efforts to make our students proficient in reading, intelligent writing, and math. It's imperative that these three basics be mastered at an early age, as the ability to acquire any other knowledge demands a solid foundation of these basic skills. It's a national disgrace that remedial reading classes exist in our high schools and colleges. I didn't just write this. This was my testimony in 1994 at a New Jersey Department of Education hearing. And my concerns and others about testing back then have just blown up astronomically since then. I've got all these, so I went through some of my children's files. I got the middle school, the early warning test. This is being replaced by the previous test. The the Terra Nova test, this is another test. We keep all these tests, no follow-up on these things. I told you before, I'm still waiting for my son Anthony's result of his cognitive abilities test. He took as a sophomore in high school. He's now graduated, got a lovely family, he's got 2 masters. We're still waiting for the results. Now, with regards, I asked several months ago, I read some of these things about Park. I read all the problems with Pearson, and I asked this board to be proactive and appeal to our life and start a movement. You don't have to do that anymore. Our assembly already passed the bill. The bill would bar schools from using scores on state tests, commonly known as PARCC, to determine what classes students can take. The State Department of Education has said that the test will not be used for grade promotion and won't be a graduation requirement until 2019. So it makes these useless. Now, here's another article. Just one of the quotes of it. If experiences of other states that have already implemented PARCC exams are illustrative, New Jersey's teachers, students, and parents can expect steep declines in the percentage of students scoring in the higher levels of achievement. This is the Director of Secondary Education at Seton Hall University. Another quote from another article. PARCC test will not improve our schools, elevate the rigor of our students' learning, or even raise standards of teaching. This is Marcia Taylor, an Associate Professor of Secondary Education, Montclair State University. And I've got a hold of another manila folder. I've been cutting out all these PARCC things. They just echo what these professionals are saying. This is crazy. And to follow up on Mr. Cronin's statements about Pearson, I read the history of them. It's a $9 billion corporation sucking the money out of our taxpayers and harming our children. And this is just one of the things from here. How does Pearson intend to fine-tune its test? Last year, parents in New York City were fed up and protested against administering what some call free pilot studies for Pearson. Meanwhile, teachers were sent a memo from the New York State Education Office telling them to lie to students and pretend that these field tests were real. A few months later, Pearson decided to try bribery as an approach to continue its field testing. If principals decided to use their students as guinea pigs, they would get a free Kindle, Nook, iPad, or iPod Touch. So we're not educating our students. You are the elected officials charged with providing an education for our students. I've been fighting this for 35 years. I'm begging you, take a stand on this. I've got memos from the Delran Board of Education. They passed a resolution to opt out of this. Other towns and other states have opted out of this. In fact, I think the majority of states have already opted out of this Common Core and all that, and the movement is spreading. So I'm asking you 7 board members, 6 of you here tonight, please take a stand. Let's not subject our students to any more of this test. Because if you can't, we're mandated by state law to provide 180 days of education. I'm telling you, we don't have 140. When you add up all the testing days, when you add up the late opening, that's 2.5 hours that these kids don't go in. You have the teacher in-service days where the kids go home half the days. We are stealing valuable teaching time from our students. Please, I'm begging you, get on board at the next meeting, have a resolution meeting that Belleville's going to opt out, not 350 kids. We're going to opt out of PARCC for the benefit of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ojo?
Good evening. Just to follow on the PARCC testing,
when I do not like the part test, like many other parents, but the state, as of now, says we have to do it. I don't know whether that's going to change, but what I want to draw out is, okay, so in the last test in middle school, half of the students, because there wasn't enough space, okay, so half of the students had to sit in a very small room, crowded, and had to do word searches and wait until the afternoon. My son was one of those half of the students. And the other halves were taking the test in the morning. The first thing that happens is the people that had to take the test in the afternoon, they're at a huge disadvantage. As a result of him being one of the students in the crowded room, he fell ill. He may have fallen ill maybe without that, but I strongly believe that was a contributing factor. So in the event that the test is not cancelled, as suggested by the last gentleman, if it's not cancelled and we still decide that we're going to do the test, the end of year testing, I suggest that the students that took it in the afternoon, well, first suggestion, if it's possible, can everybody start it in the morning? If that's not possible, then I will suggest that the people that took it in the afternoon the first time, let them take it in the morning. If that's still not acceptable, then I will strongly suggest that the people that have to take theirs in the afternoon, they should be able to, if, you know, they should be able to just come in the afternoon and take the test, because as a result, anyway, my son missed one day, and you know, we've been, struggling to get, okay, when is the next testing going to, when is he going to have the makeup test? So now, this is now going to lead me to the second part of what I really want to talk about, which is, so I then got on the phone, tried to find out from the middle school, took me about 3 or 4 calls, which was very, very disappointing, but eventually, they, initially they were giving me conflicting stories. Somebody told me that he doesn't have to take it, another person told me he has to take it, somebody told me, well, he's missed it. But anyway, after a long time, they finally told me, okay, it's going to be made fine. But the thing I want to draw out is this, and this has been happening a lot. I don't know whether it happens to me only, but virtually every single time I call the middle school, virtually every single time, nothing gets done. I have to call 3 or 4 times, have to wait. Why do I have to wait? Why can't somebody call back within an hour? There's at least 3 secretaries in the middle school. Why can't they not call them? And I'm going to call you to practice, Mr. Superintendent. One of the agendas that we had was Belleville is going to convey a very positive image. And I have to say that I've actually begun to see that. I see that on the website because within the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there's a lot more information on the website. There's still room to go, but things are getting better, but there are still things to be done. So one of the things is, please, I don't know what's been done in middle school, I don't know about the other schools, but if a parent calls, if they're not there, they should be able to get back within an hour. I had to draw out the information. I also emailed the principal to say, look, what I'm suggesting, can they take in the morning or afternoon? Nobody ever got back. So I want some answers on that. And then that leads me to my last point, again, back to the issue of projecting a good image of the school district. It's now nearly middle of the month, right? Nearly middle of the month. Several schools, when I drive by, there's a board that tells you what happens in the month. A lot of them are still saying March. It's horrible. It projects a very bad image. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It's not good. We should be able to do better. It's somebody's job to do that. And if they're not going to do it, if there's no one to do it, I don't know what it did. Let's put a dark cloth over it. It's not, let's change that. That, within, give or take a day or 2, it should be done, preferably at the beginning of the month. Well, let's say it's not done within a day or 2, let them change it. And if they're not going to do it, let's cover it up. It doesn't look good because for the kids, when they see things like that, what it tells them is nobody cares. So, like I said, I'm not hammering anyone. I believe we can do better, and things are beginning to move. But let's start moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ojo. Chris Lamparello.
Hi, Chris Lamparello, 48 Walnut Street. I just wanted to bring a point from the last meeting. Mr. Braun was talking with someone in the audience about advisory councils, and that there was no minutes, and that there was no meetings, and there was no financials and whatnot. I was the head of the Special Advisory Council. I have all of our agendas, all of our minutes, all of our meeting notes, and our bylaws available for anybody who wants them, because maybe like other committees, mine was fine. That's it.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close public participation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.